Welcome to In Depth for a closer look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. Uranium One shareholders have approved a deal that gives Russia's ARMZ a controlling stake in the company. Lisa Hill, our deputy editor who is based in Toronto, Canada, joins me to discuss this story. Can you just remind us about what this deal entails?
Right. So the companies announced in June, Uranium One, Toronto and Johannesburg listed uranium miner with operations in Kazakhstan, announced together with ARMZ, that's the uranium mining arm of Russia's nuclear group Rosatom, that ARMZ would raise its stake in Uranium One. It already held 23% of the company after selling a stake in a Kazakh uranium mine last year for shares. But it's now going to raise its stake in the company to 51%, so that's effectively a controlling interest. The Uranium One, ARMZ will increase its holding in Uranium One in exchange for stakes in two Kazakh mines that it holds, so that those two will go to Uranium One, as well as $610 million in cash. And then what Uranium One plans to do, assuming that the deal goes through, is it will use the bulk of that cash to pay a special dividend to shareholders of $1.06. And what they're calling that is effectively a change of control premium, simply because ARMZ is buying control or controlling interest in Uranium One. So, and as you said, Uranium One shareholders in a meeting in Vancouver voted to approve the deal.
And how did the shareholders respond to this latest development?
Yeah, at first it was really a bit of a shock. The share price in Uranium One went down. I think investors were a bit taken aback to hear all of a sudden that Uranium One's planning to sell a controlling interest to effectively a government-owned uranium mining company. And ARMZ at that time really was quite relatively unknown in North America. Obviously it's a state company, so not very active in the private sector. But officials from both ARMZ and Rosatom, its parent company, have been very active over the last, since the deal was announced, in getting out there. The Director General of ARMZ traveled to Europe. He's been talking to investors in Europe, in North America. He was here in Toronto several times. And what they've really been trying to do is explain to Uranium One shareholders the benefits for the company. And what they're saying is not only does Uranium One get that extra production coming out of the stakes in those two mines that it will be selling, but first of all, one thing that they say is that Uranium One's going to sign an offtake agreement or increase its offtake agreement that it has with ARMZ. So there's a guaranteed buyer for its product. And then secondly, obviously we know the historical relationship that Kazakhstan has had with Russia, and so they're saying that having the backing of the Russian government can really be seen to reduce a lot of the risk or perceived risk of Uranium One having all its operating mines at the moment in Kazakhstan. And it seems that shareholders, based on the results of the votes and also based on the movements in Uranium One's share price, which really has improved after that initial fall, shareholders really are buying into the idea.
Is the company expected to make any changes to its strategy to fit its new controlling shareholding status?
Well, based on what we're hearing from the heads of ARMZ, Rosatom, and also Uranium One CEO Jean Mortier, the answer really from their side is a resounding no. They're saying that ARMZ bought into Uranium One because it liked the management, because it liked the strategy that Uranium One already has. Mortier is going to stay on as CEO, assuming the deal closes. Its chairperson Ian Telfer will remain chair of the board of directors, and ARMZ said what they've said is that they plan to use Uranium One as a vehicle for international growth. Rosatom, the parent company, is building all these nuclear power plants across the world, and they said what their customers want to know that they can also supply the uranium to go into the reactors, and so that's something that they're looking at with Uranium One. But Uranium One was already looking at acquisitions. It was already the company, even before this transaction, it said it wanted to grow. So the message that we're getting at the moment is really no change. They do want to grow. They want to see the share price or the market value of Uranium One increase to a point where so that it can better, it'll have better access to capital markets when transactions do come around. But for now, yeah, as I said, what they're saying is no change. They plan to keep the company public, and they really just keep reiterating that their big priority is to see the market value of the company grow. There has been talk, really more proposals and suggestions that the company might at some point look at a London listing, simply because the investors in London and the community there in London maybe has a better understanding of the operating environment in Kazakhstan and maybe more familiar with ARMZ and Rosatom. But they're emerging market funds. But at the moment, that's really just a proposal, and so nothing firm has been decided or already said about that.
Oh, thank you, Lizo. That was the show for today. Join me again next week for more news and insight on mining developments in the Americas. I am Martin, working in Johannesburg.